But are we good to go?
Pretty much.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, it's been good.
Oh, we've already started. Right.
Oh, fair enough.
It's been a while since we podded, you know.
Also, one last memory. I remember you did. I don't know if you remember. I was there and I was helping you. You did an art event.
I was
like
helping you.
Central. Was it an art or boss? I don't know if you did it or it was like an art.
You know,
thingy.
Swarzy has hosted like over
wait.
10,000 things
art?
now, so it's just
Something
Was it
like that.
in Carnaby Street?
I can't remember what it was, but you did like I don't know if it was your event or something, but it was like an art thing.
An art. We did.
And then there was like something in the basement, and there was like an after party. That's all I remember. This is how you know this is years.
Actually, that was tied in with Midnight Madness because Chico wanted to launch like a fashion lifestyle art line.
Oh, is that what it was?
And we did it together, and so maybe that was
That's so
actually.
And I was helping out.
Yeah.
so cool.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh.
sorry, enough memories.
We've just been reminiscing with Swarzy.
Jeez.
Season 7, episode 4 of the Black Berea podcast. We haven't recorded in a while. I think just holidays and life but how are you guys doing? Your baby as well.
Oh, congrats!
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You're
Dad
8
life.
months?
Huh? 8 months? Yeah.
8 months?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
I'm
Well done.
tracking,
Well
I'm
done.
tracking.
Yeah. She's gonna be 8 months next week.
Oh.
And how are you looking? This is not her first Christmas. It is her first
That's
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah, of course.
Duh. How are you excited? Are you guys got matching PJs with that?
Nah, none of that.
Come on, man.
He says in the most Christmassy jumper.
Yeah, innit?
Of all Christmas.
If my wife buys matching stuff, I'll wear it, but I couldn't care less.
No, you guys should definitely have matching sets.
It's cute, man.
If she buys it, I'll wear it. Like I'm not anti. I'm just.
It's just fair enough.
I didn't grow up with all that stuff, man. So
Oh, yeah.
everything's new to me.
Witness.
My first Christmas tree that I ever owned was I'm not Jehovah's Witness, by the way.
No,
That's
I
crazy.
said you being a Jehovah's Witness.
I know. I wasn't a Jehovah's. I've never been a Jehovah's Witness.
Seventh day. Sorry. I'm just confused all of them
You
together.
can't be mixed up denominations.
My guy.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, my first Christmas tree was when I was married.
Oh.
Yeah, so I never owned a Christmas tree before.
You have a Christmas tree in your house.
I do.
Are you a Christian?
Pagan holiday.
Them ones.
Pagan holiday while I'm wearing my Christmas jumper.
Swarzy, how are you? How have you been?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I love the two of you, honestly. And so to sit here, it feels like...
We can be here for a
Look at
while.
that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I know,
I said,
right?
how long?
Like, literally.
Like she's not a superstar.
No. There's no superstar.
I'm not gonna get her autograph after. I'm just being humble. You know.
No.
So listeners, I've been like buttering Swarzy up. I'm like, oh yeah, do you remember this time? And remember this time? Just trying to get. Oh yeah,
Remember, like,
Not even.
I'm your friend. Don't forget
Yeah,
me.
don't forget me. You know?
But fun fact, for anyone who's been to our live shows, Swarzy's hosted both of our live shows.
Oh wow!
For free. Like, I
That
don't
did come
remember
up on my on, you know, on Google thing. It says like, oh, memory from da 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 da. That room was packed, and that was such a good event. You know,
Yeah.
I went to one of
such a
them.
good event.
Definitely live shows coming, but I don't know if Swarzy will be able to. You've blown now, so I don't know how it's
No.
gonna work.
Sign
Money.
me up.
Never
Sign
is
me
gonna
up.
happen.
Never charge, nothing. Like, thank you so much, Swarzy. For those who don't know who Swarzy, you are a BBC Radio 1 Extra presenter, and you also are founder of Too Much Sauce.
Indeed.
Which is like a creative. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the show was just because I think when we talk about like Black Berea, like we have a big fondness for just Christian worldview and like explaining why, you know, bringing our Christian mind to any topic and seeing everything through a biblical worldview. But we also have a big view of like the church. But then not everyone can be pastors or church workers or ministers. And often Christians are in the world and they're doing life amongst non-believers or they're in the secular space. And we wanted to engage with people who are in the arts and doing big things there, but also are Christians. So, and we thought like, Swarzy, like, in terms of what you do and just your reach, it's we're happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Like
Thank you
I was
much.
actually watching a lot of your like videos today, and I know you did like creative writing at university, but like growing up, like how did you even think of being in the radio presenting? Like, is that something you've always had a passion for, or?
I think when I remember, you know, in school, and they're like, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be when you're older?" And I remember in like year 8, I was like, "I want to be on TV," but just because. I don't know, man. I'm watching Smile. I'm watching the Reggies, the Ferns, the Devs. They look like they're having fun. I'm thinking, it would be good to do that. But no way did I really have a plan or a roadmap into doing it. But I do remember thinking, I'm going to look at like the Reggie Yates and the Fern Cottons and the Devs. How did they do it? And they started in radio. Yeah, and then they just, I don't know their full stories, but started in radio, transitioned into TV, then did docs, then do their own thing. But never really did I think. I think because I went to a youth group called Blueprint in City Gates in Ilford,
Oh,
Shout out City Gates.
Shouts to City Gate. That's why I became a Christian. I didn't grow up in a Christian home or nothing. So when I got there, this youth group was like everything to me, everything to everyone who went to Blueprint at the time. And I think just hosting 1 minute, it was like, oh, can you just give the 5 minute warning? And you know when you're at church, you're like, all right, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And then next week it's, oh, can you just do like the intro? Hi guys, da da da. And I think just over time, just enjoying that hosting role and not really knowing it was a job, like never went there thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be my job. So yeah, that's why I did creative writing, because I loved English. I think that was my subject. I didn't do maths very well and I didn't do science, but shouts goes out to Miss Bones, who got me through all of my GCSEs. But yeah, definitely didn't have the roadmap or the TV GCSE that I was looking for at year 8 to know how to get into it.
And I know you won like a prize, like the Kiss Chosen one, which was like, I'm assuming it was like a big...
It was huge.
Application, and I think you said something like you were like the only one who had no like radio experience.
Zero, sis, zero. I mean, bless Chico on the day that
Chico's
said,
your husband.
Chico is my husband. Shout out Chico.
Love a girl.
Yeah, I remember like he actually found the like the link or whatever and sent it to me. He was like, oh, it's in Stratford Westfield, we should go down. And I was like, no, because I'm not a presenter, I'm not a radio presenter. He goes, just blag it, just pretend you are, and like I'll film it and like do your show reel. And I was like,
crazy.
What do you mean? And at the time it was in Stratford Westfield, top floor, gold, like not gold, glass box, and inside bare guys, production guys, head of the network guy. Like it was a proper thing. People were queuing, and I remember just getting there and I was like, I can't do it. Chico was like, you can, man, just pretend that you're a Kiss presenter, boss it, you know you can do it. And then if it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I've gone in now and I'm like, yeah, I'm a presenter, I do radio, da 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 da. And like, I just blitz. They give you like a little card to learn, to memorize. But again, church, like, if you've ever gone to church and you're just ad-libbing, you're flowing, you're reading a room, you're just in your mode. And then I got a call next week to say, yeah, you've made the top 20 academy. And I was like, Chico, I've made the academy. He goes, right, part 2, like we go again. And so just getting in the room with people who obviously done community radio or Beeb or just, like
how
commercial
many stages
radio.
was it until you, because you won, right?
I won that year.
They
I think that was about
on the radio, didn't they?
2, yeah. And then they just give you the show. And then you're like, oh, okay, so I got to learn what buttons to press, which ones not to press, what music. It was a lot. So, yeah, God was very kind to me in that stage of like, yeah, fight or flight, just go for it.
And we really downplay like how the church can kind of create, especially
100%.
for artists.
Yeah.
Give you the kind of the building ground or the building blocks to start. 'Cause I know a lot of like musicians and instrumentalists and like those who are even in the acting space or like hosting space, and their first kind of go around was in church.
It's funny you say that. I have no like talent like that. But
don't be so hard on yourself.
Exactly, I was gonna say.
No, but I always say, because people say like, oh, Femi, you're such a confident public speaker. And I always think about, oh, why? And it's because of church, you know. Because my mum and dad used to like make me go up and do stuff in church. Like our church was small, so like little things like the Bible reading, it's little stuff. Like, I wouldn't sing or anything like that, but just little stuff. And I just think, oh, from young, like I've been in front of people talking. So like the older I got, the less it fazed me.
Yeah.
So like people say, oh, you're not nervous, man. No, not really.
Yeah,
so church, man, shout out church. That's another reason why we should be bigging up church.
Yeah, man.
Not that there isn't.
And one thing about church, they ain't gonna boo you. Do you know what I mean? Church ain't gonna come and be like,
encourage you.
They're gonna encourage, even if you
especially when you're young.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you're young.
I don't know how many singers got up and they weren't good.
They weren't good.
We clap for them. Encourage them. Encourage her.
Yeah.
Encourage them.
That might have been a bad thing, actually.
But obviously the cream rises to the top. So you know, like eventually if you keep at it, you'll get there.
Hey, shout out church, man.
Yeah, man.
So when you won the competition, like what would you at the time, what you envisioned like your career would be, your life would be?
Well, I stopped doing Midnight Madness, which is where I met the glorious Femi here. So
because you won the competition, it meant you couldn't actually do.
Yeah, I was in between 2 jobs. I come out of uni and started actually working for City Gates, just doing like admin stuff, working just in the office and everything. So then I started that job. Then I won the Midnight Madness presenter search and started like
Just winning and winning
just,
and winning.
by God's grace, sis, by God's grace, just going.
Literally, all I do is win.
It's favour. It actually is a favour because you go in. Did I know anything about basketball? Did I know anything about how tall people would be compared to how small?
If you haven't met Swarzy before,
I'm 6'1", guys. Don't let the Saints.
She's tall in spirit.
Yeah. Tall. I've grown in the Lord, so.
Tall in the Lord.
So I stopped doing that to do radio because I just had to learn the craft. I had to go and train and do everything. But the beautiful thing about basketball was that it was always on the weekends, and it meant I could do the community basketball league alongside radio. And so just progressed by God's grace at KISS, did the breakfast show on the weekends, and did guests and did cover work in the week. So like now being over at the B where like Ricky, Melvin and Charlie are, those guys were my first guys when I met at KISS. And obviously you're a kid listening to Ricky, Melvin and Charlie, and now they're in the flesh, and you're just like, right, you guys are, and they're still legends in my eyes. They're still sweet people, lovely people, just joined Radio 1 in fact. And so we had the briefing and I felt so nervous, like, I got no friends. And Ricky was like, what's going on, Swartz? Come and sit with us. Like, proper, when you meet nice people, honestly, the Golden Rule just look after them and they look after you. That's such a lovely thing when people say, come and sit with me, or meet my friend Swaz, So yeah, you meet good people in the industry and they're like gems to hold on to.
That's fantastic. When you were working, obviously you said you left uni, you were working for a church at one point, and then you was doing the Midnight Madness, and then you got the role at KISS and you won the competition. Like, were you ever nervous around like being in such a like secular space, or like, I don't know if you growing up you heard things like, Christians can't be actors, or they can't be in Hollywood and all these, like, were you ever like fearful of that? Because I think often that's put towards young people to almost scare them away. When like the world is your oyster in one sense.
Do you know, I gotta just give credit for Blueprint. That youth group just meant people were just applauded for gifts and the talents that they had. And I guess, thankfully, I never really was in a space of people saying, oh, you can't do this. It was more about, you're a light and you're salt. So if you are going to be there, how do you represent Christ? How do you shine for him? Look out for the conversation where you can share the gospel. So every opportunity is almost like the game. It's almost like finding the treasure to be like, okay, I'm here, but why am I here? Who is it I'm going to meet? What opportunity will I have? And so I'm grateful that was the persuasion there. I don't know if I would have had the confidence maybe to then venture out into all the spaces I do now without that thinking of, all right, if I'm going to be salt and light, what thing am I going to be here to do? Like, who am I going to speak to? And I'm really grateful for that approach to it. Yeah.
And I think I think sometimes when you offer that perspective, you just miss out on the opportunities that you get. Like, even at work, like even me at my normal kind of like run-of-the-mill workplace, if I'm just like staying in my corner doing my work and going home quietly, I'm missing a potential gospel opportunity. And it's just knowing the fact that you're a light. Like, if you can engage in conversations, and who knows what will come up, like who knows what conversation you can be part of. So it's good that you've seen your work as that. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna ask, like, do you think, is it not so much to worry about like, oh, Christians shouldn't be in those spaces, but I guess, do you ever worry about being open as a Christian and some of the pushback you just might get from that world, as opposed to the Christian world, like from the secular world, like how they might respond to you? Especially in the media space where, the media can be dominated by very un-Christian like values. Like, do you feel like, oh, I can't be as open, or even, not that I can't be as open, but I'm just worried about like, oh, are they going to think I'm going to think this, or are they going to say this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's stories, guys. If we're doing story time, then the most recent story as of yesterday. Ooh. Oh my gosh, God forgive me. So on Saturday, so I do a breakfast show on BBC Radio 1 Extra, Saturday morning, 7 to 10 a.m.
Cheese plug.
cheap plug. But on this Saturday, Skepta's dropped a new song called Alpha Omega.
Oh yeah, I saw a clip. I haven't heard the song yet, but
I heard the production's crazy, but I haven't heard it.
Yeah, nor had I. And the first line of the song is him saying, "I am the Alpha and the Omega."
Wow.
So immediately in my head, I thought, "Oh no, you're not. Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega," and I just got caught off guard. I think, I just played the song with a real conviction that I shouldn't have done. And for loads of people will land differently. I just want to put out that I'm not the barometer. Everyone will have their own convictions. Someone might listen to this and think, I think completely different. For me and my household, I played that song and I said, oh no, like that is, loads of people will say, oh, but all of the songs aren't godly songs. And that is true, but not all artists are saying I'm God. So I think for me, my knee-jerk reaction was, I just got caught off guard and I played the song. And then this week I thought, don't get caught off guard again, Swaz. Like, Saturday is coming and that song may be in your show. And so I just hit up one of my guys and I just said, at the BBC, I said, what's your advice? Like, I feel really uneasy playing this song, really uncomfortable. I actually don't want to play the song. Is there a way around it? Or play it and say something about it? What do you... And my heart is beating, because there are many times where you're thinking, is this the hill?
Yeah.
Is it, you know what I mean? There's many a hill, but is this the hill? And so he was so gracious. As of yesterday, he just voice noted back. He said, you know what? We've got to respect everyone and where you feel uncomfortable. We never want that to be the case. And then he said, before you do anything, let me just double check something. He came back and he said, you know what, Swaz? That song is actually not on the playlist for your show. So, and not that he used these words, but in my head, I'm hearing the Lord say, I've completely diverted.
Made a way where there's no way.
Made a way where there was no way.
Amen,
And
amen to
so
that.
I give thanks for stories like that. I would say a couple of years ago when I was working at KISS and working at Channel 4 actually, Lil Nas X had dropped a song. And this song was particularly controversial because the video was like Jesus and Jesus was twerking on the devil. The devil was twerking on it was just very, very blatantly offensive. And at the time as well, he'd launched a shoe line or something and dropped a drop of blood into 666 shoes, I think it was.
That was it, yeah.
And so I just felt to myself, like, if I don't say something now, like, when, Swaz, when? And so I went before my team at KISS and they basically just, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be there could be so many things where this could land. And they actually came back and said, actually, we didn't say the word convicted, but we feel challenged to look at the playlist and look at actually where songs may be challenging, may be offensive. And they said, oh, why do you believe that? Why is it a problem for you? I said, oh, because I'm a Christian. And they basically were like, and why would that? Yeah, literally.
Okay.
And why?
What's the relevance?
Yeah, literally. But not in an intimidating way. They genuinely was like, what's this gospel? And honestly, over Zoom, because I think it was around the pandemic time, just shared the gospel with the music team at KISS.
Jeez.
1 second, let me get my
Jeez,
Bible. Let me show you the Greek.
You got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes?
Yeah,
You got 10 minutes?
Turn to page.
Turn to page. I was basically just like, this video suggests that the devil and Jesus are on the same page. Actually, no, the tomb is empty. He's been defeated. Jesus is risen. He is Lord. And to peg them on the same level would actually be so untrue. There's nothing further from the truth. And so I don't want to just be blasé about it. And they were just like, wow, I have never heard the gospel before. Thanks. And yeah, we'll just take the song out of your show. So again, you say favor. I know that cannot... If not the Lord, then how? I'm very aware of that. But yeah, there's times in my job where I'm like, as a Christian, this is a direct, almost the devil being like, yeah, all right, what are you going to do about this one? Yeah, and to not do anything, actually, when we know the God that we serve, he is far more greater and powerful and just able to do far more than we could ask or imagine. Let me tap into, Lord, please help me in this. And he does, and he does. So yeah, it's tricky, but at the same time, he gives us better stories to tell.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So,
that's powerful. How do you navigate those challenges? Like in terms of just being in a secular space, or I mean, you've got a huge listenership who aren't of the same beliefs as you, but you've got to do your job. Yeah. Like how do you navigate those challenges or potential challenges? Yeah,
I think you do choose your challenges. You choose which ones you want to, speak up about. Not to say that you're quiet or the Bible's got a lot to say about, the wise know when to speak and when not to speak. And sometimes it is wise just to not speak on certain things, knowing that you may have to speak later on. And so when you do, save your vim for that conversation. But I think just from the beginning, again from Blueprint, there was a pride about being a Christian. There was a pride about, I've got joy, endless joy, or I've got new life. I'm not bound by what the world may say. God is greater than whatever. And so I do try to live by that. I do try to go into scenarios and be like, all right, Lord, what crazy thing could you do here? And when you expect the Lord to do crazy things, best believe he does do the most insane things that draw your faith to another notch to be like, all right, God, if you did it there, then surely if I hadn't been, I guess, vocal about the Little Nas X thing, I don't think I would have Vim for the Skepta thing. So you have to do one in order for that Vim to flow into the next. And there's loads of things like that. And I think, God's just given me good stories to be like, all right, cool. I've seen your faithfulness here, God. Why would you then not be faithful here?
That's really challenging because just yesterday, it's so funny because just yesterday I was sitting in my staff room as I do. I work in a school. And they were talking about... we're doing like Christmas carols and stuff like that. Bear in mind, like my school is 90% Muslim. Right. Maybe not 90%, maybe 89% Muslim, right? So the conversation was all around, a lot of kids coming to school saying, my parents said I can't sing this song. My parents said I can't sing this song. My parents said I can't wear a Christmas jumper. My parents said I can't do this. My parents said I can't do that. So we're talking at the table and one of the ladies, Muslim, she was like, yeah, but I understand it though. Like all this BS about Jesus being king. No. She didn't say it like that. Sorry, she did use the word BS, but it was more like she was.
Not with the kids there.
She was annoyed that this is in the staff room.
Okay.
So she was annoyed that basically she was trying to imply the kids shouldn't have to say Jesus is king in a song because obviously the Muslims don't believe that Jesus is king. It's just the fact that she used those words specifically that made me want to speak. I didn't say anything the whole conversation. I was just listening, didn't say a word. They were chatting. Other guy was like, I don't know why. Another guy, he's not religious at all. He was just like, I don't know why parents force this stuff on their kids. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just sitting there silent. I didn't say anything. And then when she said the whole BS thing, I was just like, I could say something like, why did you describe it like that? If I said, when we celebrate Eid, like we do, like. I was like, I don't want my kids to celebrate that BS. If I use those words, I would be like, for want of a better word, crucified in a school. So why is it okay for someone to just say it like that? Yeah. I stayed quiet. I didn't say anything. I just carried on eating my lunch, didn't say a word. But you saying what you said just now just made me think, wow, like there are moments when you can, like you don't have to be. Yeah, sometimes you don't have to take every single battle. Yeah. But there's some battles that might be worth. And that conversation might have, been like, actually, because I'm sure she didn't mean any malice by it. Yeah. She doesn't even know if I'm a Christian or not, to be fair. I don't know her that well for her to know that. So it could have been like a good opening to be like, okay, I minced my words. I didn't mean it to say it like that. Or I didn't even mean it like that. I just meant, blah, 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 blah. So that really challenged me, actually. Like, don't step up, say stuff. Like, So,
I think it's the ability to have a conversation as well. Like, you may not necessarily change their view. You may not necessarily change their view, but you're able to have a conversation about that subject. And I think what you said about like basically bring your whole self to work. And I think even as black people in the workplace is just something over the years about black people being able to bring their whole self to work, their cultural identities, their heritage, and what is greater than that than your Christian faith. So the idea that you're able to bring all of yourself to work is fantastic. And it's a challenge to people who aren't in like a huge like secular space like yours, but don't say anything when that topic of religion is coming up or anything. And there's been so many things, like even we didn't speak about the Mark Way, but I remember like at work, like having people talking about that and feeling like, this is such a great, interesting conversation just to have. And it's like came out of nowhere. And you're just like, what did you think of that? And it's just a way to have a conversation. And I think the Lord does that. Like he just orchestrates things in the workplace.
I might bring that up tomorrow.
That you can just talk about.
We talk about football all the time.
Yeah,
that is a great icebreaker. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'll report back. I'll report back on the next one.
And I think when you like, because I was talking to someone about football and then I said, and he was like talking about the armbands and about like, I love Jesus and then Jesus loves you. And then we just started talking about it. And I was thinking, this is so fascinating. And I think it was able for me to be like, I'm a Christian. Because I think the fear is people don't want to talk about their Christianity at work because they're afraid of persecution. Yeah. But then the enemy can use that as a way to just silence you when you could have done it in ways that the Lord could graciously bless. So that's just it's very, very challenging. Like what you said about that and the wisdom that it takes to say, okay, maybe not today, but maybe another day. Or like there's certain hills you will die on and there's certain hills that you'll happily, okay, cool, you don't have the same view as me and I'll let that go. So that's very, very challenging.
I think it's also just like people are watching and I'll never forget one conversation we were just having outside of the studio one day talking about horoscopes and like what's your star sign. And so someone in the corridor said, what's your star sign? And someone jumped in and said, she don't believe in that. That's because you believe in the Lord.
And someone said, amen.
Amen. I said, the Lord. And so we went back and forth. I was like, what did you mean by that? She was like, oh no, because like you're Christian, innit? So But really, it challenged me to be like, what is all this horoscope? Like, what is it? Like, what is it you're actually believing in? Because I want to know so that I know that what I believe in is so separate to that. But actually, there's a conversation. It's not just to shut it down and be like, this. It's like, and equally not to say, yeah, I do, and then end the story, go about your business. It's like, interesting that she said to me, oh no, it's because you believe in the Lord. And I thought, we haven't had this conversation. So how would you have known that?
It's interesting what's being said, like when you're not there,
when you're not there, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, like, come on, sis doesn't do that. That kind of takes me to like being like integral, because obviously people have always spoken about, you know, what's the classic phrase where about like preach the gospel, if necessary, use words. And you may, wherever you land on that, there's the aspect or the intent of it is it's also your life that presents like your faith. And I think being in that industry, like how do you like maintain your conduct? And I'm sure you maybe not your profession, but there could be professions where people are a bit shoddy or they're a bit dodgy and they get away with it, but obviously you're being mindful of like your Christian value as well. So like how do you maintain like your integrity, and how important do you see it in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is even the mind-blowing one. This is like, be on time. Like, God forgive me, this morning even, I was late. You know, be on time and be honest. They are best friends, go hand in hand. Because where the temptation is to be like, the trains, or, you know, just make anything. And why is that? Because we want to protect our own reputation, because we believe we are good people. And you know, everything I do is because I'm a good person. Everything I have is my status and my And actually, Jesus says, no, you have nothing good in you. It's me. It's me who has done everything. It's my performance that is good. And so today I just had to message my manager and be like, I'm so sorry, I'm running late because I'm a plonker and I just read the time wrong. And no matter how dumb you feel and you know it's not going to land well, and yet she is so gracious, so kind. I've learned that people just like that when you're human. You know, obviously there are some days when you're just like, I'm really running late. But I think you soften it when you just say, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, rather than vex the other person, just apologize and just say, and be honest, what time will you actually get here? There's nothing worse than being ETA, and there's no ETA. Like, what's the ETA? So I think, being honest, but I freelance, so there's lots of jobs where you may only see that person one time and one time only. And so I really love how Jesus, he looks after the people who maybe society would overlook. So when you do events, I always make sure, you know, that the security guard, go daps up the security guard, go say hello to the cleaner, go say hello to the person who will be at the beginning of the shift, at the end of the shift, because I think it communicates that even if you're not on the shiny stage, or you're not the guest, or, you know, you're a runner, or every job is necessary for this event to work. And so and again, Blueprint did it, man. Blueprint at the end will say, shouts goes out to Ray, who put out all the chairs. You know, we really encouraged an environment or a culture of saying thank you to people, saying like, well done for coming early and making the milkshake, well done for putting down the toys, or well done. And I just think if you carry that into, especially this industry that prides itself on, no, you only big up the people with the most following or the most status or the most money. Well, that's only a fraction of the people at the event. What about all the other people that have to run behind it? So I think, the integrity is just saying hello to people. You'll be so surprised how many people do not say hello. You'll be so surprised how many people just like, on email, just send an invoice. That's it. No, hi, thank you so much. Like, the etiquette where like there is.
Here's what you need to pay me.
And so sometimes people will say, "Oh, we really thought you would be drama," and I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, because so and so is drama. So and so didn't like this. So and so ordered this for their rider." Even you say rider this today. I said you're so funny, but in any way that you can reverse the narrative of what it would be.
What's a rider? Sorry.
So, you know, for like celebrities,
tell us, Mary.
Celebrities or like, you know, influencers.
People like Swarzy.
No, people like
when
yourself
when you're booking them, when you're booking talent, when you're booking talent,
that's
I know this. Show up. Like, you know, if I book you for a podcast, you might show up because you're this Femi. But when you're booking like an actual talented person,
can this stop? stop. Because actually,
That actually was
But
crazy.
you said you didn't have talent like 5 years ago. When you're booking talent, they usually come with like prerequisites, which is called like their rider. So when I
So I
arrive,
thought you meant like drive it. Like
Nah, so
yeah,
when I
that's
arrive,
literally- when I learned this, I
there's
said,
certain things I
rider.
require. So obviously I might need like obviously I need a green room. I can't just be standing anywhere. Like,
of course.
I need like so it could be whatever they want. Like it could
Yeah.
be like I need cars. I need room temperature water.
yeah, people
I
say
need Skittles,
crazy
but I only
things.
want the
Never
red
knew this
Skittles.
stuff.
Yeah, I hear
I want
this.
like so obviously I was asking Swarzy like, what's your rider?
Oh,
Yeah.
swear.
So that I know how
So
to
what did we
accommodate
get
her.
ready for her?
This girl brought us stuff. It's not about she brought us stuff. So, like,
Crazy.
I said, let's bring the snacks. That's why.
yeah. So, but it's interesting you say that because in an industry where, of course, the popular people or whoever's got the most influence are the people
Yeah.
you honor, but there's also the idea of no, Christians, we love and honor everyone.
Yeah.
And even the timing thing is powerful to me because I was just listening to a Bible study series at my church, and one of the points the pastor was making was about like when you're late, like you're running late, like you woke up late yourself, and then you get on the train and the train is delayed. But when you get to work, do you say I'm late because of the trains, or do I say I'm late because of me? And often, because of our love for our own reputation, we're going to be like, the trains.
yeah.
And we won't actually be truthful. And is that honoring to the Lord? And I think in so many ways at work, I could easily fall prey of that where it's like, I didn't see the email. And it's like, you saw the email. Or, I didn't see this. So
I've
like,
used that one too many times.
I've got a conflicting meeting. It's like, you ain't got no conflicting meeting. And you can just do things.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Be
the
dishonest,
Lord
yeah.
sees you. Like the Lord sees in ways that your colleagues may not see. But and even in that, like your colleagues can be like, like Mary does her work properly, or
Yeah.
she doesn't lie, or she's professional. And that speaks more to the God you serve than your own.
Interesting.
Kind of
Do you
character.
think, just in general, like I'll both of you, do you think it's does it feel easier to be dishonest? Dishonest sounds strong, but it is what it is, isn't it? Dishonest in work situations than in
Dishonest.
anything else in life. Because like the most, not that I'm like a liar, like compulsively, but like if I'm going to lie, it's going to be at work. Like more than any other scenario.
I think
Like, I don't lie as much to my friends or my family or my loved ones as I do at work. So it could be just, I'm late. I feel like we've had this conversation before actually, but it could be because I'm just late or I didn't see that email, and it just feels like I don't feel the same conviction as then if it was like in any other scenario. Was it just me? Am I the only
It
one?
might just be you. I'm joking.
Am I the only one?
I think there's the pressure of work as well. Like there's higher stakes. Like
Right.
so the idea of like I need to be the best I can be at work because I
Right,
can lose
right.
my
Which
job,
makes
and
sense.
then
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has
yeah.
knock-on effects.
Right.
Whereas you may not want to lie to your friend, and if you do, they're not going to cut you off.
Yeah,
Whereas,
okay,
like,
that makes sense. I guess.
if you
Not
miss
that
a
it doesn't
deadline,
justify it, but
no, of course. Like if you miss a deadline of your own volition because of your own negligence, you're more likely to say, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I've had some whatever,"
Yeah.
as opposed to being like, "No, I've
So
just been
you
bad
think
at
it's the
my
stakes
job."
that makes it
Yeah.
more? Okay.
But I think but then the stakes can change for anything because if someone puts pressure on you to do something ungodly, are you just going to do it because of the stakes? Like you hope by God's grace you have the conviction to be like, I can't do this,
Interesting.
and that's where it becomes a bit difficult.
No, I think how you explain it is. Not that I always tell the truth, you know. Of course.
So you spoke about blueprint and that being like a blueprint to how you're kind of how you've gone like through your career, like in terms of other Christians like who may want to do similar things to you, want to be in the media space, whether it's like radio presenting, hosting, acting, singing, dancing, whatever. Like what advice would you give them in terms of just being a light and being a Christian in the world?
Yeah, good question. I think just be a Christian from the get-go. Like if you try to pretend you're not or downplay the fact that you're not, there's only gonna be strife later on because the world is mad. The world is actually mad. So just being like, this is what I'm about and being very much about it from early. For example, when Halloween comes around, people know I don't mess with Halloween. they just know I don't. And so
Wait, sorry to cut you. So let's say your Saturday morning show is on the 30th of October.
Yeah.
And most I don't know media platforms are gonna have like
Some kind of Halloween
costumes. Like
yeah.
you're like, is that your conviction lies in the way that you're
31st
not
of October, by the
gonna?
way.
Oh yeah, let's say it's on the 30th or the 31st.
Yeah.
Like your conviction means that you may not necessarily reference Halloween, or you're just not gonna go all the way there.
Yeah, I think, and again, this is where that opportunity for last Saturday came in, or if they didn't take this song out of my show, do I talk about it authentically how I would actually talk about it, or do I just avoid it? And I think there's always like, shouts goes out to Polly, my agent today.
Shout out Polly.
Yeah, shouts to Polly. Polly was like, she gave an incredible analogy of like Paul, wherever he would be, would always use the things around him to make the point, to push the gospel. So like Halloween, for example, would be like, this thing is dark, and so we celebrate light. It's be like, what places have I been in the dark? And I know this is very baby girl, one-on-one, small analogy, but actually, when you realize and you just say, these are dark things. These are things that even I've experienced. I've seen dark things. I've heard dark. I don't want to play with that. I don't want to sanitize that. Lots of people then say, yeah, true. I completely, neither would I actually. So when you actually get to the heart of what it is someone is saying, or what your point is to get across, people will genuinely, if you have a good relationship with them, probably take the time to listen to you. And to your point about what you would do, just make good friendships. Make good friendships at work. Make good friendships on the job. Make good friendships with the people that you are with, because when you get that new person at work and they're just off, you ain't got no time for them, because you're just like, who do you think you are coming in? But actually, if it's your friend and they've got an off day, you are far more gracious to be like, this person, man, they're moving mad, but that's your guy, isn't it? Yeah. So you allow, exactly, you allow them. So I think make the most of like birthdays, at the workplace. Make the most of Christmas. Like, hopefully my guys won't see this before Christmas, but try to get Christmas cards and Christmas presents, just because you want to do Christianity holistically. You want every opportunity to be used well. So when you do have something to say, they know, Swarzy ain't trying to preach. She's actually like my guy, and she's probably got something to say here that she loves me enough to tell me. So I do try. I mean, you can't get it right all the time. You don't know what's on the other side of it. But going into these spaces, be prepared. And on that space conversation, sometimes there's no compromise. Sometimes let the job go. Because if it is that this thing, you can't get out of it, you have to play this, you have to... I've always said, you know what, Lord, these things are gifts, but they are that. They are gifts, and you are the giver of the gift. Let me not let go of you for the sake of clinging to this gift that you could repeat and do anywhere. But I just think, what a sad thing it would be to try to hold on to a radio show or a gig or a whatever opportunity, and the Lord not be pleased by it. Like that would just be counter. So there's some moments where you can get through it. Other moments where I've had to just say, sorry, I can't do it. And you take the L, but you don't take the L because you love the Lord. So, you just have to rephrase it. What is it in my head? Is it that I love and want to serve Jesus more than love and serve this job? Of course, if the answer is yes, then it's not too much of an L. In fact, it's not an L at all.
And I think even just increasingly at work, like just the idea of being authentic. And like, so even like when I started a new project at work, it was like, introduce yourself. And I was like, and then like people were saying what they do. And I was just like, I'm a Christian. And like, maybe the third person after me said the same thing. And I was just like, let's go. And like, of course, people can say they're Muslim or Jewish or whatever. And that's fine. Like, I think we live in a world where we hope people are more tolerant of one another and accepting of one another. So that means you should be accepting of me. So, and it's great to do that, because if they know you already as a Christian, or then they get to know you. And I think the relationship thing is a part I'm working on, of like, I come to work and then I go home. And it's like, Mary, like, learn to live life with people at work, so you can actually get to know them. And then hopefully maybe give the gospel and love on them. Like, whereas I think I've just been so like in my own, I want to go home, basically, that I'm missing opportunities around me. You spoke about just the saying no to things, or like, have you ever been in a position where you've felt like, this may be me conforming, and how have you like navigated that with community? Because like, for example, if I split you into two and made you like two Swarzys, you may go down different points, but you may still be honoring to the Lord, if that makes sense. So how do you kind of decide what to take, what not to take, what to do, what not to do? It's so hard, like a couple of no's. I auditioned to do Blue Peter. They were like, you would be a would kill it.
Do you know what's so funny? So many people, when blueprint, they were like, you are perfect for a Blue Peter presenter. And
they still do Blue Peter on TV.
Listen, respect them.
You can still get your badges. You work in a school.
No
I would want a badge.
way.
Oh my!
I promise you, if I ask the kids what Blue Peter is, they don't know what it is.
No, they would. Blue Peter.
Seriously?
Blue Peter is like...
Wait, Blue Peter is BBC 2? BBC 1?
BBC One, yeah.
BBC
or BBC as a staple.
I thought it was a CB. Right. I don't know what is... There was a guy... You would definitely know. There was a guy who was dancing and people were mocking him online.
Oh,
and he said I was teaching them, but that wasn't Blue Peter.
No, I don't think he was.
That was CBBS?
I think that was CBBS.
That was adorable. Yeah. When you realised he was teaching kids, I was like, okay, we'll take it back.
he's very. I haven't met him, but yeah, it was very sweet.
Blue Peter is still on TV. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, Blue Peter is goated in the BBC.
Okay.
Is Art Attack still around?
No, Art Attack's not around. Stop talking.
I would have loved
ITV,
for
though, isn't it?
What? Art Attack? Every time there was
Is
I
Art
made this
Attack
earlier.
Yeah, I think it's CITV, wasn't it?
CITV,
I
I love
this-
that.
I made this earlier. No, every
Oh
time.
my god, the paper mache.
I made this earlier. What?
My mum used
But I
to
used to hate
hate.
him because I always wanted to make things at the same time.
No,
So the idea of waiting a day, I
Yeah.
don't want to make it anymore.
The GOAT show is Funhouse.
What's
It's
Funhouse?
Oh, is that before your time? I think I'm older
What
than you
is
guys.
Funhouse?
Funhouse. You know Funhouse, isn't it? That whole, yeah. And at the end, they get the go-kart and bro, I used to dream about going to that show.
Funhouse. I've never heard of Funhouse.
YouTube it, man. It was like a game show, but for kids.
The twins at the end.
Yeah.
All I
don't know
knew was
It was like a game show for kids, basically. And,
Oh.
at the end, it was like a soft play, but they climb on these, like soft play, like the
Yeah.
proper ones though, like the big ones for like bigger kids. And then they have like a go-kart at the end and they have a go-kart race and whoever wins gets the prize. It was like, guys, if you know Funhouse, you know Funhouse, innit? I was so badly wanting to go to that show. Anyway, Swarzy, sorry.
Yeah, no. Funhouse. I mean, all of that. You see, like the plaques and the photos of the years of shows that they've done. The Beeb is a very special place. I gotta say, like,
Oh,
just
for sure.
just to be there, and
Yeah.
you're just gobsmacked by the
Yeah.
amount of like obviously content that has come out of the Beeb. But they shoot in Manchester, so it would mean relocating to Manchester. Would mean leaving my guy, the SBC Stockwell Baptist Church is my
shout out
ace.
Shout out SBC.
I haven't said SBC early enough, so SBC. And I remember going to Yannick, one of the elders at SBC, and being like, Yannick, if I get the job, I have to leave and I'll relocate to Manchester.
There's churches in Manchester. Good churches
And there
in
are
Manchester.
good churches in, but you know what isn't in Manchester? SBC. SBC Manchester is where we
SBC
need
Manchester
to.
is where you need to
where
do.
we need to. We
Chico's
need to
the pastor
do.
as well,
Yeah. So I genuinely was like, Lord, and if it really came down to it, I don't know if I love my church. I love being part of them, and being, a member there. So, and it just so happened that was on the cusp of 2020, maybe January, and then the pandemic happened, and so it kind of got flushed out anyway. It didn't go ahead. But again, it would be a real fight between do I take this job and make a whole new church life, and I'm not opposed to that, but that was a genuine wrestle. I would say no to such a job if it meant I couldn't be part of my church family.
Hey, ride or die.
Ride or die.
or
Even
die.
I try not to work on Sundays as much as possible. And the one extra show that I do now was actually a 2-day show. It was Saturdays and Sundays. My conviction, I just said to the guy, I said, I really don't want to do
7 to 10. You would still make church.
you know what it is? I would. And
Look at
shout
me,
to
this time I'm not a
Stockwell.
godly person.
No. She did the maths and saying,
So we'll be late.
well, the Sunday show actually finishes at 11, so that was my conviction. So Stockwell's really plugging
You know what?
Stockwell, 11 a.m.
Stockwell needs an evening service. Afternoon
Yeah.
service? I mean, the 2 p.m. one?
Yeah. Maybe you just go to the evening service. But I was like, I try not to work on. I think we've just done a series on church membership and what it means to be a part of a church, a member of a church, love your church, have the church love you. And just working on Sundays again is my own conviction to be like, if I can avoid it as much as possible, I do. And it's meant turning down a 2-day radio show for a 1-day show. And you know what? I would love to be on radio more, but it would have just meant I couldn't have been at church or prepped youth church or whatever the commitment would have been. It would have been prioritizing church over work. And I think if I couldn't do both, again, the hard no for me is just let it go, Swaz. The Lord will
Provide.
Who's
the Lord will do. Is it Match of the Day host? He's a Christian. Oh.
Yes,
Doesn't
Dan
work on
Walker.
Yeah, Dan Walker.
He's a guy,
I didn't know he was Christian.
Yeah,
Come on,
Dan
man,
Walker.
where you been, man? Dan Walker.
Dan Walker's a guy.
Yeah, so he does. He's like what
I
does
thought he
he
was
do?
going to say Gary Lineker. I was going to say, no, he doesn't.
He does Match of the Day, but he also does like other football
Yeah, I
shows.
know Dan Walker. I know
But he doesn't
who he
work
is,
on
yeah.
Sundays. It's like one of his things.
Yeah, he
and that's
doesn't
encouraging.
actually.
It's encouraging, like
Yeah.
to see, and that's for me the beautiful thing about seeing Christians in the world. Like when I
Yeah.
mean world, I mean like big world, not like the world as in a system. Because you realize that God saves everyone. Like he doesn't just save like singers, he saves like bin men, he saves actors, he just saves all types of people, and to see them in the world is just so inspiring for me. So I just love seeing that. You were speaking about like the saying no versus like your being prioritizing your church. Like, how do you maintain your spiritual disciplines as like alongside working?
Yeah, work. I think no one, like, I didn't know what freelance was. When I started radio, I said, what do you mean I got to send an invoice? What's that? Like, I've only, before that, had jobs where it was I quite say quote unquote normal, but just PAYE. You just enroll and they pay you on a certain day. So that was like, what? I'd never really understood freelance life. So if you freelance, and for the shouts to the freelancers locked in, you can just know that your what routine, like when do you know what time you're meant to be up, what shoot time you've got, what call time. And so I think it's even harder for me as a freelance to really like put your own routine to your week, because if you don't, your week will just blitz by, and before you know it, it's Sunday again and you're just rolling into the next week. And so my manager at the end of November was like, right, go. She actually said to me, fast and pray, go and fast and pray and think about what you want to do for next year. And she said, you're busy being busy and being busy doing nothing. That's literally, wow. And I said,
not violence.
Yeah, literally not being stressed. And I like it. I like because I can just be busy. Just going through the motions of work, and then having not nothing to show for it, but just choose a couple things, Swaz, rather than being spread thin over everything. Choose a few things that you want to hone in on. And it was so fruitful, just fasting and praying. I don't fast enough. And I realize what a beautiful discipline this thing is, to actually just say, right, the times I feel hungry, which is AKA all of the time, go and pray about this thing and the other. So, and out of that 2 weeks, it came out of like, right, I know what I want to do for next year. I've got 3 main areas. I know what things I want to do, like work-wise, financially, home-wise, all of that gave such clarity to it. And so at the end of that 2-week fast and prayer, the Lord was like, but there's more to this. Like, don't let it just be a 2-week one-off. And I don't know, maybe the Holy Spirit, maybe the Lord, but just like, I want to give maybe a week, a month then, or a couple of days of the month, or 10% of the month. If the month is 30 days, let me take 3 days at the beginning just to fast and pray for the rest of the month. Because I just thought, I don't want to just get sucked up. I want my life to get sucked into prayer and worship or fasting, not for the other way around, to get at the end of the month and be like, oh, what did I even do? So that's been really good. Something practically that I've done this year as well is have a goals Sunday. So every first Sunday of the month, had a group of friends and we all set goals in January across like 9 different categories. And every first Sunday of the month, we came together to have dinner and also say, right, these were the 2 goals out of the 9 or 10 or whatever that we focused on. And this is the report basically. And they can range from anything, new job to, I don't know, mine was like read 5 books and go to the dentist. Why am I going to the dentist fast at the end of the year? Because I had all this year to do it. Did I do it? Until one friend was like, Swaz, it's on your goals list. You better find yourself at the dentist. And real like real accountability, real like, oh, can someone pray about this for me? And not everyone in the group are Christians not everyone is doing it from the Christian lens. But I just found it so helpful just to have the accountability of like, right, I said I was going to do this. Let me be a person of my words and do it. So yeah, those things outside of church, outside of work, they fill me up. They keep me grounded. Like this world, it will just, and you know how fickle this world is. Today you're hot. Tomorrow, who Swaz? Like, you have to go into these jobs knowing.
Not Swarzy.
That could never happen.
Who's paying you good coins to be in that?
She's been humble. Who is Swaz?
Honestly, you just know the Lord is you know your number of your days, because it's you watch other people in this space as Christians, and it's not all rosy, man. Like you can get chewed up and spat out, and if it's not by God's grace, like He will just give you the words to say, when to say it, to the people you need to say it to, and the Lord does the rest. You can't. I've just learned you can't be fearful of that, because the Lord publicly died for us. So. Let me be public about my faith to Him as well.
That's fantastic. There was something you said about being a freelancer and just your work, your week not being, just being kind of up and down. Yeah. So like, how have you? Because I think when you think of like classic freelance work, it's unpredictable. So you know, 1 month you're balling, another month you're not balling. Like, how do you balance that? Like leaning on the Lord, like just depending on the Lord just to help you provide. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. this is going to sound so, I hope it sounds the way I just pray for it to sound. Maybe even edit this bit out. But I just love to be generous. And I don't mean to say that in a way of like, oh, I'm bare, like balling. And sometimes I really ain't be balling. Because if you know invoices,
They take a while.
they take a while to be coming. And so I think I challenge myself to say, if I go to dinner with a friend, I'm going to pay in faith that the Lord is going to provide. Yeah, I know.
What are you doing? What are you doing after that?
Canary Wharf, let's go. And I think, just like being quick to say, oh, you know, we're going to meet, we'll get snacks or something. Oh, all right, I'll just bring snacks. I think it, for me, is a lesson to just be like, the Lord provides, the Lord provides, the Lord provides. Like, don't depend on this job to pay your bill. Don't depend. It's the Lord who pays every bill. It's the Lord who pays every invoice, even when it's months and months late. And I think, I've learned in the world, no one sometimes will volunteer, you know, quickly until, you know, for the Christian to be like, yeah, I'll do that. It must say to other people, well, they must believe their God exists to pay it back to them or to provide or to do, you know, sometimes I'll say, oh, we've got a church lunch. And they're like, oh, how much? I'm like, the insane understanding that you would have to pay to go to church. Like, there's so many things by God's grace that he's given to us freely. So then to be an extension of that, and to be gracious. Freelance life, just, be generous where I can. I really enjoy doing that. And just mark out time, just put time aside that is like, no, I'm not going to do anything, you know, on this day or that day, because it can be so easy just to say yes to a whole bunch of stuff. And before you know it, you're burnt out and you ain't got nothing else to give.
What about married life? How's
You're married? Swarzy's married?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think she mentioned her husband.
I'm kidding.
She did. Has that impacted work, or has work impacted marriage? Or
bless Chico. I think he didn't know what a breakfast show was until maybe the first week after coming back. And that alarm that went off.
Oh, because you get up at, what time do you get up?
I get up at 4:30. On Saturdays, or 4:30 across the board if I cover another breakfast, if I cover like one extra breakfast show.
And when do you go to bed? I'm assuming Friday nights is not really.
Friday nights I'm meant to be lock off, like just in my bed. But sometimes Netflix be doing that silly top 10, and I'm like, one more episode, and then you see the time and you're like, So the problem is the rest of the week you go to bed normal time, and so come Friday night you're not actually tired to go to bed.
Can't relate.
He's like, I'm tired all the time. I would be in my bed by what time do you go to bed?
No, I go to bed at 9 to 10.
That's a good time.
But I have a baby, so I might wake up
during the night, so
3-4 times in that same night. So
I
go to bed early. Going to bed early is not the problem. It's I say that. That's not true. I don't wake up 3-4 times anymore. She's getting better. She's sleeping better.
Yeah, she's sleeping better. Maybe once or twice?
Once or twice, yeah.
Okay.
Once or twice.
But still.
Yeah.
It's hard. But go ahead.
Sleep is up there, isn't it? When you're just like... So, sorry, what's your question? Just about freelancing?
Marriage.
Marriage life.
So you talked about he wasn't used to getting up so early.
So bless Chico. Chico is... Oh, I just love him so much. I love him so much. Like, today I left the house in a state. I was late for this meeting. Was very apologetic about the meeting, but if I actually, you know what the thing about marriage as well, there's nowhere to hide your mess. No one tells you this. Like, once you're messy, that's it. He's gonna wake up and be like, did a tornado just actually blow through the front room? What? And so a quick text, hi babes, I'm so sorry, the yard is a mess because I tried on this outfit, it didn't work, I tried on these shoes, didn't work, and everything that I didn't wear is in the corner. Just leave it there. And of course he was like, no problem, like, have a good day. See you later. By God's grace, he is thinking that and not thinking, this bro.
I was like, you're married now. He loves you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, work-wise, it's nice because he freelances as well. So he'll have projects and he'll be working from home. So we do get to see each other quite a lot. But I think it's nice that we work in so, like, very different fields. So when you come home, you've just got bare chat. You're like, this happened. And so, married life, freelance life, it's a life, man. It's a very crazy, busy life.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Last question for me around, like, could you speak more around, like, being a salt and light in the world and just the call for Christians to be salt and light in the world?
Yeah. I am of the persuasion of just be bold, man. Just until you get knocked back, why not? Like, why not just start with God has done this thing in my life. Because if it's your story and we live in a world of your truth is your truth, my truth is like run with it then. Like, this is my truth. And what are you going to say? This is genuinely what happened to me. I was at a climate event not too long ago. And you know who I was talking to? The grandson of David Attenborough.
No way.
I know. I was literally a real, and he's
actually royalty.
Lovely. Right, literally.
Royalty right
I looked at the panel list and I saw his surname and I thought, I don't know many like Attenboroughs. Like, you know when you don't see many, you see many like Smiths or I don't know.
Attenborough. If it is Attenborough, we'll ask questions.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I looked at him, he looked at me, he was like, yeah, and he's a sweet guy, lovely guy, an actor doing great things, was on the panel. And afterwards, he just wanted to talk to me about joy. He was like, "Oh, your joy. Like, do you just turn it on for events?" And I was like, "Oh no, actually, like I wasn't this way before. I wasn't confident." And just like shared the gospel. He was like, "Oh, I think he said something like, oh, I never really would have put joy and Jesus together like that." Yeah.
You might think Jesus and rules or Jesus.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was just finding myself backstage talking to this great guy about Jesus and joy. And I thought, God, you can honestly, sometimes I'll be going to events and I'm thinking, I am not the girl for this. I got no expertise in this field. Brother, I don't, choose someone else. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, it wasn't actually about X. It wasn't about this event. It was for this one person to talk about joy. And here I am saying, actually, if you're born again, you were born a whole new person. And actually, everything that you once knew, Jesus flips it on his head. Look at all of the people that he healed or saved. And if you desire joy, like, yeah, ask him for it. Ask for joy, like he'll give you joy. And so it was just an amazing, amazing moment to be like, okay, Lord, what crazy stories. You know, I love telling stories like that because I think when people hear, oh, you're a Christian in the world, they hear brimstone and fire. They hear like
bigger.
Do you know? Yeah, they hear all of that. And actually what you find is people living regular lives, ordinary people, the same ordinary people that Jesus would have encountered and just came up about, and it's just great opportunities to share the gospel like that. So yeah, start strong. Start with like, sometimes I'll just drop it casually. Oh, because on Sunday when after church, and people will be like, but you quickly move on and now you're talking about the Sunday roast, or sometimes you'll be like, oh, my church is cooking out one big meal on Sunday, and they're like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, literally. And it will only take one person to be like, oh yeah, I remember when my church had it, and you're like, got it. You know what I mean? You just kind of throw the net out and whatever you catch, whatever you, all right, run with it.
I remember one time I was working in my old job, and I was talking about like going to church on Sunday. She's like, oh, you go to church? You're such a good person. I thought, I was like, got it, and I was like, good. Who's good? And it's just that idea of like, and I think one thing I think is so fantastic about you, Swarzy, is that idea of being bold, knowing God will keep you. Like, is anything too hard for the Lord? Like, there's too many passages about like against all odds, whether it's like Gideon or like just the army, like, Lord, the army is so small, or the spies go to Canaan. It's like this, and God is just like, I will go with you. Like I will be with you. I'll never leave you nor forsake you. So if you're in those spaces, you can be yourself and you can be the person that tells them about Jesus, because God is with you and he's made the world and he made them. So why would you be fearful? And it's just a good reminder of like, whatever space you're in, if God has saved you, like shine your light, because he's worthy of all glory. And even work, like I'm trying to get a good theology of work. Like work isn't just to push pencils around and fill in spreadsheets. It's actually for his glory. So I should be doing that with that in mind. So fantastic, man.
Honestly, I've got a couple of questions. So
let's do it, man.
Last one, Femi. So first, what can you sign that I have? I've got my marker. I've got a board marker.
You will find the name Jesus on that signature. So just know.
You know it's
put Jesus and then Swarzy.
Swarzy, she's literally doing John 3:16.
Yeah, but you're all squiggly. It's just like,
wait, is that your signature?
That's my name.
Ephesians 2:8. Ephesians 2:8.
I guess on the serious note, on the more personal note, I guess, what's the goals next? So like, because I know you mentioned TV, so is that something, like, is that the end goal? Not end goal, but like, is that one of the big ones?
Quick question.
Yeah, great question. I think my next year, the three things that the Lord gave me was food and faith. I really love food. I really love...
I'm stopping you there. So Swarzy invited me to the house. I think he's invited me to the house a couple times.
I have.
Swarzy can cook.
Oh, wow.
Swarzy can cook. Swarzy's can cook. Yeah, 100%.
I love to cook. Funny enough, my dad has moved back to London now, and he's a chef, and so he's.
That's why.
Yeah, my dad's always been a chef, but he's actually got the title, like, job role of chef now.
Like, he's actually a chef.
He's actually, and funny enough, God is so kind that he's in a restaurant called Dear Grace in White City that is next to the BBC.
Oh wow!
I said, Lord, if I need to just go to lunch and just go and buck my dad, just like
That is so cool.
So yeah, when I think of stories like what the Lord, you know, like on my wedding day, it was very contentious that my dad and his partner basically broke up on the wedding day.
On the wedding day?
On the wedding day. It was
I was at the wedding.
mad.
I did not see this.
Yeah. She
I was
didn't
at the
come.
back.
Yeah, she
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
she didn't come out of like respect. Even that, being a Christian, being like, I want to honor my mum. My mum isn't a Christian. People often think it's the big decisions, you know. It's always the big crazy. Sometimes it would be the small, not small, but like the tender decisions where you really want to show to someone that you care and that you're thinking of them, and that's a godly witness in that way. Anyway, full circle that my dad was in Hastings, which is like Eastbourne, which is like on the coast, and the Lord plucked this man from wherever he was to come and live with my nan in Finsbury Park and now work at the next door to the BBC. So when I see that, I just think, and what is it to you, Lord? Like, cast your net, man. This event is about to know that, yeah, you want to come church, come Stockport then, like, let's, or come whichever church you want to go to. But there's a gang of us, and often people are there, you know. There are Christians in these spaces
100%.
that just don't know that the other person is a Christian until you say it, and they're like, oh, there's more of us.
Yeah.
And the minute you see us all come together, there's a real like beautiful moment.
Or it's like I remember reading a story about like a man who would professing faith, left the faith and was just like, I just want a new environment. Like my family's deeply religious. Left, like went to another country, started a new job, and then his manager was a Christian. It was almost like I can't get away from this. Like, I can't get away from the Lord. And the Lord is just sovereign in just how He orchestrates things.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But I cut you off. You're talking about food and faith.
So food and faith, conversations like radio or podcasting. And then the third thing is live events. I think, blueprint from the get-go. There's something beautiful about live events and reading the room. Like lots of presenters or lots of, producers will say to you, right, here's 10 questions. You must get to question 9 by 5 minutes to the end of the event. And you're thinking, but if question 4 bangs, let's stick with question 4 because the audience are giving vim, you're giving vim, your guests are giving vim. To skip past that actually would do a disservice to everyone. So, the Holy Spirit's got a funny way, man, of just rewriting a question in the moment and you improvising and you asking that question that the guest is like, how did you know that you were going to say that? Because I was thinking about this. And you're like, the Lord knew that these things were coming together. So I just had a meeting this morning at ITV and the lady was saying that good presenters are those who know how to read the room. And not that she would have known that my background was at church, but I was thinking what you were saying about lots of people use the church, and rightly so, as their foundational, starting
like
point.
training ground.
Because there is something, I always say this, I think the best musicians come out of the church.
Oh, yeah.
When I go and do music events.
No, you don't need to think. It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth.
It is the truth. When you meet people in the studio and they're playing, they're doing whatever, and you're like, I know you go to church.
Yeah,
I
100%.
know you. Oh, I know you grew up in church.
You grew up in church.
You didn't learn that.
Singers as well.
Singers, you are not far from that conversation. And so when you can grab hold of it and just squeeze it for all it's worth. Next year, by God's grace, more TV. I really am not so confident in TV space of scripting and there's cue cuts and there's points. She was saying about game shows. Game shows have got beats. I love watching The Wheel with Michael McIntyre, and she was like, that show's got lots of production and loads of, and you think, you've got to have one eye over here and another eye over here, and there's a lot to go on. So I think it would be good to grow next year in that space. I want to get confident and up to date on that one.
And you're a founder of Too Much Sauce.
Too Much
Sauce.
Speak
on that as well?
Yeah, Too Much Sauce was just bloomed out of my friends are sick, man. My friends are sick. They have been doing stuff that people need to know about and celebrate. And I think, again, you just don't see a lot of black people in lots of spaces where they ought to be and ought to be very high up in that space. And often what isn't instead of that is mediocre, just not good stuff, basically. And so I was like, well, do you know what? I'm going to just celebrate my friends. And so Carnaby Street at the time had a shop where no black artists were selling stuff, had anything, you know, there was nothing to say that there was representation from the black community there. So I was like, okay, well, the basement is free. Maybe this was the event. But funny enough, I think it was a collaboration with Midnight Madness at the time. So there was one in Hoxton that we did.
It was the Hoxton one.
Maybe Hoxton.
Yeah, I think it was the Hoxton one.
Yeah, maybe Hoxton.
It was near my old workplace.
Okay, yeah, Old Streetway. Yeah, beautiful venue, just like an old like gallery space. And then Carnaby Street gave us the basement, and then Barbican gave me like their. I know I'm saying these names as if like.
Obviously, Swarzy, man.
No. And also, let me just say this real quick. I don't know how much time we've got, but I did Too Much Sauce celebrates Black British creatives who are making history today. Because I just found that being in like radio, there was always the desire to do Black history, but always from Quebec and from someone else's like the American history that was never quite, you know, on the dial with what today's people are doing. So that's one thing. But then the last supper club was a supper club / Bible study that I did in Canary Wharf. So catch this right. I had this idea just to do a supper club and just read the Bible with creatives in the industry, similar to how you guys are just like, how do you do both things? And when I pitched it, I didn't say it was a Bible study because I was so shook that I wouldn't get the kitchen and the space. So I did say there would be some element of like faith, but I guess I was too shy to really go all out and say it's a Bible study. So by the time I needed to actually get it and the guy was on board, he was like, yeah, show me the deck and whatever. And obviously in the deck I've gone like, we're going to read the book of John, chapter 1, chapter 2, and he was like, the book of John? Like, I was like, yeah, sorry, my guy. Basically what it is a supper club and we're going to have da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, yeah, I don't think we can do this. And I thought, and this is what I'm saying. If you don't just say up front who you are, you will pay for it down the road because people don't like it when you then add on something. And they just want to know who you are from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so I hold my hands up and say I was too shy, I was too nervous. I prioritized the venue and the budget and all of these things and just lost my way with it. And God was kind. God was gracious that he said, you know what, I'm going to shove you to the like operations department, the events team. They can deal with it. Basically, ain't going to happen. Talk to so-and-so. See you later. He passed me over to this woman called Dot. Shouts goes out to Dot. Dot looks after the budget for both November and December. And Dot became a Christian not too many years ago.
I tell God is saving
When
people.
I tell you, she said, oh, what did he say about the Bible? So he said, oh, I can't. She goes, you can't do it. Let's pray. I said, Dot, let's go. And so we did it. She gave me 2 months worth of budget. We shot 4 episodes. We had food. All in Canary Wharf. And God was good. God was so good. Gave us money for people's cabs. Like, again, be kind to people. It's raining, it's snowing, it's what. Just make it easy. People there who were Christians, it doesn't matter. Like, just be generous with the budget that you've got. And so Dot freed it out, man. Dot was like, yeah, come through. And of course, where this guy, he didn't know Dot. He you know, like when you think about Moses, and I love the story of, is it Pua and Shifra, I think her name is. 2 midwives basically that are delivering babies, and Pharaoh is like, yeah, deliver these youths. If it's a boy, if it's a girl, sorry. Basically, they didn't look after the girls and they didn't treat the boys and the girls the same. But actually, these 2 midwives that he just looked over was the reason why so many of the boys lived, so many of the girls lived, so many of the babies lived. And I just find it so interesting that people in these huge spots just overlook the people that the Lord uses and says, no, that person who you thought was just anyone, that's the person I'm going to connect you with and use and do this and do that. So, yeah, just so many things around, like, just stepping out, being bold and letting the Lord do what you cannot do in your own strength. And just looking back and thinking like, all right, what's next then? Because if you're able to do that, Lord, what is it that you cannot do?
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. I could keep talking to you, but
Honestly,
I know we ran out of time. I know we ran out of time. And it's Dafo's birthday today.
I know! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Dafo. DB Studios, you know, we're always
big
here.
21, yeah?
Couple more years. But no, Swarzy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Guys. I love this episode. I'm now emboldened. I feel like I'm going to work and just...
I'm motivated.
I'm going to talk to that woman tomorrow.
I'll think about tomorrow. Yeah, I'll think about tomorrow. Like, how am I going to come into the staff room tomorrow? We're different.
But no, thank you so much, Swarzy, man. This is Black Berea, season 6, episode 4.
Woo!
Yeah. But no, that was amazing. That was amazing.
So
that was amazing.
Guys